Well, let's start with the day's market action. The Sensex and the Nifty gave up intraday gains, ending marginally in the red. It was another very volatile session of trade with financial stocks dragging the market. The Nifty Bank Index lost over 250 points. Mid-caps managing to buck the trend with the index ending with marginal gains. Anuj is standing by now to take us through the market action. Volatile continues to be the mood of the market, Anuj.
Well, just the kind of the day where both bulls and bears would take something away. The market is near a very important support mark. All the rallies today got sold into. The first rally, which was maybe an obvious trade, but the post-noon rally also got sold into. But while every rally was getting sold into, every time the Nifty was coming close to 200-day moving average, it was taking support. So that really is your Lakshman Rekha now. The Bank Nifty underperformed once again, fourth day in a row that it's happened. Though the broader market did show some stability. As I said, the banks were down, so ICICI, Kotak, SBI and the HDFC Twins dragged the markets, and there were some others like Hero MotoCorp, Titan and Tata Steel. On the gaining side, you had some stocks like Cipla, Tata Consumer, Shree Cement, though they don't make up for much of the index, and IT did well, especially in the last 1 hour or so. Names like TCS and Infosys did bounce back. Outside the index, the big sector to watch was city gas distribution. And of course, big names like Gujarat Gas, IGL, MGL were all higher. The setup is clear, but the Nifty must defend the 200-day moving average or this zone. Otherwise, the bears might just start to press home their advantage.
Anuj, many thanks. Moving on to the currency market, where the rupee made a marginal recovery against the dollar. On Monday, the rupee had weakened to record lows, and today's recovery is in line with most major currencies. In the bond market, the 10-year bond yields also softening in trade. Lata standing by now to take us through the money market action. Lata, some recovery there in the rupee, 81.58.
Well, there clearly is some kind of an exhaustion or a peaking off of the dollar rally. It's, either flat or inches below its 114.5 that it had touched. It's like more closer to 14.05. This is also because a lot of central banks have intervened. First, the BOJ intervened, the PBOC has been intervening. So there is a sense of, enough, it has run enough, and there is a bit of a peaking off, maybe temporarily. So today we've seen many of the Asian currencies, or at least a handful of the Asian currencies recovering. The Indian rupee has recovered, so has the Thai baht, so has the Korean won. But we must be aware that there can still be a potential of reverses. The Chinese yuan has still been depreciating, and since we export a lot to that country and import even more from there, if the yuan depreciates, the deficit increases with China. So we have to keep an eye. The RBI may actually prefer a gentle depreciation like the yuan. But for the moment, the point is that Asian currencies, or the world of currencies itself, currency markets, is catching its breath. And there have been no sharp moves after that over the weekend move in the pound. The bond markets as well in India are showing a decent recovery. Already yesterday we saw the 10-year spot yield recover a bit towards close because people had gone seriously short and they were covering shorts. Today we are seeing, the OIS, the overnight index swap market, which is a very, very liquid market, which reflects the mood of the market. Also seeing yields either peaking off, staying flat like yesterday, or falling off. Now, why are they flat? Because already the 1-month OIS is factoring in a 50 basis hike by the Reserve Bank. Now, how much more is there for that yield to rise? Likewise, the 1-year OIS already yesterday was reflecting 6.9. That means the peak repo rate, the Reserve Bank should be raising it all the way to 6.75 or 7. That looks a little unlikely at this juncture. So there was a bit of an overshoot. And today we have seen all those yields also inching down by a couple of basis points. We will have to wait and see, because the US yields are still in an upping mode. From 3.79, they moved to 3.82 overnight. So there is still an upward pressure. But at the moment, the Indian yields seem to think enough is enough.
All right, we will have to see whether enough is in fact enough. Lata, many thanks for joining us. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman believes the currency is holding well against the dollar. Speaking exclusively at the CNN News 18 town hall, she said India is much better positioned than many other countries whose currencies have plummeted more sharply against the dollar. Meanwhile, the Economic Affairs Secretary Ajay Sheth said India's forex reserves are abundant, also adding that concerns over the depletion of reserves are overblown. Take a look.
We are far better than many other countries whose currencies have fallen pathetically against the US dollar. RBI is not aiming at fixing the exchange rate. The government doesn't believe in it. Indian rupee and its exchange rates, the rate is also left to the markets to decide how it's going to float or get fixated at some level. So RBI's intervention is more to avoid the fluctuation.
It is not a concern, and is the view which you are expressing is overblown. Because if you recall that about 2 years back, when the reserves were of the same order, even then the discourse coming out in media, etc., and even by even other informed persons, was that we have adequate reserves when they were 2 years back. Now, yes, there has been a depletion because of the inflows have come down, and at the same time the trade deficit at a higher level. But I don't see as a concern. India has a fairly large reserves.
That is the Economic Affairs Secretary. Now, after falling to its lifetime low against the dollar, the pound has also recovered some of its losses in today's trade. This after the Bank of England reassured the markets that it will not hesitate from raising interest rates to rein in inflation. However, despite the surge, the pound remains over the $1 mark. A money-controlled survey to gauge market sentiment finds that investors remain positive and are not too worried about the market fall. Over 77% of fund managers polled in the survey believe that key indices will not decline by more than 5 to 10% in FY23, despite rising concerns of a global recession. Fund managers also expect the domestic market to consolidate the gains that we've seen hitting their 52-week lows back in June, and suggest that buying the dip would likely remain the best strategy going forward. That is the CNBC-TV18 Money Control Fund Managers Survey. In the oil market, Brent crude prices trading above $85 per barrel, boosted by a pause in the dollar rally. Prices also steady after Iraq's oil minister said that OPEC Plus producers are monitoring oil prices to maintain market balance. And staying with commodity prices, on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The Kirit Parikh panel has sought more time to review the pricing formula for domestic natural gas. Parikh has told CNBC-TV18 that the panel cannot do justice to the issue since the committee was formed. They've been given time till September end to submit their report. Parikshit is standing by with more details. Parikshit, the expectation of a review of the pricing of gas on the 1st of October, where does that stand now?
Well, early in September, the government had appointed the Kirit Parikh panel to look into the gas pricing formula, and they were tasked to come up with a fair price for the end consumer. So the committee has been meeting, and it has representatives from different gas companies. And we spoke to Kirit Parikh some time back, and he said that we've not been able to do justice to the gas pricing formula, to the review that we started 2 weeks ago. We need more time. This is an issue that affects a very large number of consumers, a large number of industries as well. So they will need more time to deliberate on this. So they've sought more time from the government. So this is what Kirit Parikh said. The APM prices are set for revision from the 1st of October onwards. We've reached out to the Ministry of Petroleum also for a comment on this. They are yet to respond. But the Kirit Parikh panel clearly saying they need more time to review this formula.
Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Speaking of natural gas, European nations are racing to investigate unexplained leaks in 2 Russian gas pipelines running under the Baltic Sea near Sweden and Denmark. Both pipelines have been flashpoints in an escalating energy war between European capitals and Moscow. Neither pipeline was pumping gas to Europe at the time that the leaks were found amidst dispute over the war in Ukraine. The latest in the Russia-Ukraine war, referendums called by Russian-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine will conclude today, with citizens being asked to decide if they want to join Russia. Ukraine and the West have already slammed these referendums as a sham and a pledge to not recognize the results. The referendums could lead to Moscow annexing 15% of the country's territory. NBC News' Erin McLaughlin brings us the latest from the Russia-Ukraine war.
In eastern Russia, terror. A man opens fire at the military enlistment office as everyone else runs for it. One officer injured, the suspect under arrest. According to local media reports, the suspect was shouting, "No one will go to fight." Troubling signs, the response to Russian President Putin's order sending reservists to the front lines is growing violent. The attack following a rare weekend of protest. From St. Petersburg, with some demonstrators struck by police, to Dagestan, where gunfire went off within the crowd. Thousands risked arrest to rail against mobilization, as many more dodge the draft any way they can. Lines of cars to cross the border into Finland and Georgia, traffic jams extending for miles, though others are reporting to draft offices. This man saying his mother was unhappy, but what can he do? We have to defend our country. But in Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine tonight, some say young men of draft age are now going missing. Zainish Hussein fled the eastern city of Kherson 3 weeks ago.
They go missing, right? Like, they just drag them out of their homes and take them somewhere.
That claim as Russia is poised to annex occupied areas once the controversial referendum to join Russia that critics call a sham election is over toward the end of the week. In Russia, Edward Snowden was granted citizenship. No response so far from the former NSA contractor who's wanted in the United States accused of espionage.
Well, that is the latest in the Russia-Ukraine war. Back home, Power Grid shares rallying after the government rejected REC's proposal to sell its stake in Power Finance Corporation to Power Grid. Power Minister R.K. Singh told my colleague Abhimanyu Sharma the decision is final and that Power Grid does not have the expertise in the field of financing.
We are joined by the Union Power Minister, Mr. R.K. Singh. Sir, thanks for speaking with CNBC-TV18. What have been the reasons behind not going ahead with the sale of PFC's stake in REC to Power Grid Corporation?
We examined the whole issue. Basically, we find that the Power Grid is engaged in an entirely different business altogether, and they will have a controlling stake in a company which is engaged in the business of financing, about which Power Grid does not have any expertise whatsoever. So we thought about this matter, and we felt that perhaps this needs reconsideration. We've decided that we shall not go ahead with it.
So are you open to considering this proposal again? What are the challenges which you are possibly going to address in a fresh stakeholder consultation?
We are not open to considering this proposal again at all. I mean, we are very clear in our mind that we have decided against it, and that decision is final.
Well, that's the Power Minister there. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The Adani Group has pledged to invest over $100 billion of capital over the next 10 years. Speaking at the Forbes Global CEO Conference in Singapore, Gautam Adani said around 70% of the $100 billion investment will be directed towards the energy transition. Top-level rejigs at the IL&FS board. Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the Ministry of Corporate Affairs has reappointed the current chairman and managing director, C.S. Rajan, as non-executive chairman. The ministry has also reappointed the current executive director, Nand Kishore, as the company's managing director. The changes will come into effect immediately and will continue till March 2023. Shares of Dish TV saw a sharp decline after shareholders of the company rejected audited financial results for the last two fiscals. Shareholders also rejected the appointment of S.N. Dhawan and company as auditor and Rakesh Mohan as independent director. The development comes amidst Dish TV's ongoing dispute with Yes Bank over the reconstitution of its board. The company said its AGM adjourned without assigning a day for a further meeting and that the board strength is now down to just 2 members. We will head into a break, but a historic first, Supreme Court live streams the hearings of its constitutional bench. That and more when we return.